Back in 1985, a fantasy film hit theaters that looked like a sequel to a familiar fairy tale, but the truth behind it was far stranger and more unsettling than that. Return to Oz tells the story of a young girl returning to Oz, but this time the world is no longer vibrant but destroyed, abandoned, and full of inexplicable creatures. But what most audiences didn't realize was just how bizarre everything behind the scenes had become. The film nearly turned into a dream. To clarify the story, the director was replaced right in the middle of production, and many scenes were built from designs taken directly from real-life medical environments. The characters in Oz are not just imaginary, but also reflect what appears in Dorothy's real world. The entire effects were achieved using models, machinery, and stop-motion techniques instead of computer graphics. But that's just the beginning. From controversial production decisions to little-noticed design details, this film has some unbelievable facts. So today, let's take a look at 20 crazy facts about Return to Oz. Number 20. The room with the head scene was designed based on the layout of a morgue. The Hall of Heads in Return to Oz was built with a structure that was not random, but based on the way body storage rooms are organized in hospitals. This space was designed like a sealed storage area where the heads were placed in individual compartments, arranged in horizontal rows and heights similar to the preservation cabinet system in a morgue. Each compartment functioned as an independent storage unit, creating a clearly ordered layout instead of the chaos commonly seen in fantasy scenes. The lighting in the room used a cold tone with low intensity, similar to fluorescent lighting in medical environments, helping to highlight details without creating a warm feeling. The space was completely enclosed, with no windows or natural light sources, creating a separated and stable environment. The walls were simple with minimal details, focusing on the cabinet system containing the heads and emphasizing the systematic arrangement. When Princess Mombi switched heads, the action was carried out like a body part replacement procedure, with each step of removal and placement done precisely without any improvisational element. Each head was treated as an object that was stored and reused when needed. This presentation created associations with preservation and replacement procedures in medical environments. This design did not appear at all in The Wizard of Oz, where elements were built in a fairy tale direction with bright colors, while the 1985 version used an approach based on medical storage spaces to create this scene. Number 19. The Wheelers were built with a movement system that completely broke the way the human body operates. In Return to Oz, these characters did not walk, run, or use any familiar biological movements. Instead, the entire body was placed on 4 points of contact, with wheels attached directly to the elbows and knees, turning the arms and legs into rolling axles. This structure forced the actors to completely abandon the usual way of maintaining balance. Body weight was no longer concentrated on 2 legs, but had to be distributed evenly across all 4 limbs, while the wheels continuously rotated to maintain movement. Each movement was not a step, but a continuous rolling sequence where the arms and legs coordinated like a mechanical system. These movements did not follow any biological rules, making the direction of movement unpredictable and unstable. The Wheelers' costumes were designed to be rigid, limiting the range of natural movements and forcing the actors to adjust their entire body posture to adapt. The filming process required specialized training, in which the actors had to learn to control speed, pushing force, and rolling direction to avoid losing balance. Even a small deviation in the angle of the arms or the applied force could immediately interrupt the entire movement. The scenes with the Wheelers were staged like a synchronized movement system, where each actor had to maintain precise rhythm to create a consistent image on screen. Number 18. The film nearly got changed completely into a dream. What you see on screen in Return to Oz may look like a seamless and mysterious fantasy story, but behind that version was a decision that nearly rewrote the entire film. In the post-production stage, when Walt Disney Productions viewed the first cut, they realized that this film was unlike any previous Disney product. The darker colored tone, heavier atmosphere, and storytelling method that did not provide clear explanations, and that was when a major option was put on the table. Dorothy's entire journey to Oz could be changed to become a dream or a hallucination. This plan included adding a direct explanatory ending, where the audience would be told clearly that what had just happened was not a real world. Imagine a version where Dorothy wakes up and everything in Oz is explained by what she had experienced in the hospital. The characters were also considered to be linked more clearly. The treating doctor could become a version of the Gnome King. The nurse could be directly linked to Princess Mombi. Details like machinery, metal, and equipment in the hospital were also seen as the source for images in Oz. The goal was to create an easy-to-understand structure, where every element had a specific explanation. These changes were seriously considered during the film's completion process. But in the end, they were not used. The release version kept the original open structure, without adding direct explanations and without clearly confirming the nature of the Oz world. Number 17. The characters in Oz were built from the very people who appeared in the hospital. In the opening of Return to Oz, Dorothy is taken to a treatment facility where she comes into direct contact with doctors, nurses, and a series of metal medical equipment. These details did not disappear when the story moved to Oz, but were recreated in a different form. The character of the treating doctor who controls the treatment process has a clear similarity to the Gnome King, a character who holds control over the surrounding environment and manipulates everything in his world. The nurse in the hospital, who is responsible for supervision and management, is reflected in the image of Princess Mombi, the character who directly controls the space in the head stored in the palace. The wheels, metal bars, and mechanical equipment in the treatment room have shapes and functions similar to the mechanical elements in Oz, especially the design of the wheelers with wheels attached directly to the body. The metallic sounds, rigid and mechanical movements of medical equipment are also recreated in the way characters and objects operate in Oz. These details are not explained through dialogue but are shown directly through images and design. The two worlds were built with a clear corresponding system in which elements from Kansas were transformed into specific images in Oz, keeping the same characteristics but changing the form. Number 16. The electrotherapy scene in the film was built directly from a real method in medical history. The character Dorothy is taken into a sealed room where metal devices are prepared and connected to an electrical system, recreating a procedure called electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT. This is not a fictional detail but a treatment method that was widely used in the 20th century to handle severe psychological disorders. In the early stages of this method, its application was not strictly limited by age, and in some cases, children were also included in the group of subjects treated. The scene simulates the preparation process with high visual accuracy. The wires are attached directly to the equipment, the generator system is placed right next to the patient, and the entire space is organized according to the structure of a real treatment room. The lighting in the room carries a cold tone with no natural light source, highlighting the metal surfaces of the machinery and technical details. The switches, control panels, and connecting wires are arranged in a way that accurately reflects the operating function of the ECT system. The character is placed in the central position, fixed during the preparation process, similar to the way patients are brought into the actual treatment procedure. The entire scene is not based on imaginary elements but is built from real components, from the equipment and spatial layout to the operating method of this procedure. Number 15. The film caused internal controversy right within Disney during the production process. When the first cut of Return to Oz was screened for the leadership of Walt Disney Productions, the reaction was not simply suggestions for edits, but turned into a series of debates about whether the film was suitable for release or not. The content, with its dark tone, heavy atmosphere, and different image construction, made many leaders think that this project completely deviated from the Disney brand direction at that time. Internal meetings began to focus on how much the film needed to be changed to bring it back to a safer form. Many specific proposals were made, including reducing scenes with unusual elements, editing segments related to the hospital environment, and characters with unusual designs. Some scenes were marked for review of every detail, from lighting and sound to the way characters appeared on screen. The final version still retained most of the original structure and design, including the scenes and details that had caused internal controversy. The film was released with many elements from the first cut still intact. Number 14. The director was replaced right in the middle of filming and then brought back to complete the film. Walter Murch was not only the director of Return to Oz, but also one of the big names in the field of film editing and sound. But the process of carrying out this project did not go in the usual way. While filming was underway, Walt Disney Productions began to raise clear concerns about the production schedule and the direction of the film's content development. Elements related to image construction, storytelling rhythm, and overall color tone became the focus in internal discussions. The project continued to be maintained with direct supervision from the studio, aimed at controlling the schedule and ensuring production milestones were not interrupted. After a period of time, Walter Murch was brought back to continue the remaining work and complete the film. This process created a discontinuous production structure in which the same director participated in two separate stages of the project. The visual elements, design and story implementation in the final version still reflected his initial approach. Number 13, the film completely removed the iconic characters from the 1939 version. Names associated with the image of Oz, like the Wizard, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion, do not appear in the story, even though these are central characters in The Wizard of Oz. Instead of directly continuing familiar events, the content was built in a completely different direction with a new character system. The main elements of the plot no longer relied on the previous journey, but were taken from other parts of L. Frank Baum's Oz book series. The content was developed mainly from two books, The Marvelous Land of Oz and Ozma of Oz, with characters like Princess Mombi, Tik Tok, Jack Pumpkinhead, and the Gnome King replacing the positions of the old icons. This change led to a complete restructuring of the Oz world, from the way characters were built to the conflict system. The relationships no longer revolved around the familiar group of companions, but shifted to a new group of characters with different roles and functions. The visual design also changed in a direction that was less traditional fairy tale, accurately reflecting the descriptions in the original work. The plot did not reuse familiar elements like the journey to seek wisdom, a heart, or courage, but focused on different situations and goals established from the content of the books. Number 12. The lead actress performed scenes with completely practical effects. Fairuza Balk took on the role of Dorothy when she was very young, in a film made at a time when computer graphics were not widely used. Instead of relying on CGI, the filming process used direct physical effects including animatronics, puppetry, and mechanical models. This meant that creatures and settings were not added later but appeared directly on set. Characters like Tik Tok, Jack Pumpkinhead, or other creatures were all created with real models, with specific sizes and movements, placed in the same space as the actress. The filming space was also built with physical sets, with surfaces, materials, and structures that could be interacted with directly. The interactions between Dorothy and the other characters happened live, with elements like distance, position, and movement determined right at the time of filming. Lighting effects, smoke, and mechanical elements were also carried out simultaneously on set, not supplemented with digital post-production. The use of practical effects completely changed the way of acting, as the actress had to react to tangible elements instead of objects added later. Number 11. The Tik Tok costume completely restricted the vision of the actor inside. The Tik Tok character in Return to Oz was created with a large mechanical suit that covered the entire body of the person controlling it. The structure of the suit was designed to be sealed, with an outer metal shell and no direct observation system for the actor inside. This meant that the person wearing it could not see the surrounding environment during filming. All movements of Tik Tok did not rely on natural reflexes, but had to be performed according to guidance from outside the set. Film crew members played the role of directing, giving signals about position, direction of movement, and timing of actions. The suit was designed to create mechanical movement with rigid joints and limited range, making movement slow and requiring tight control. The actor inside had to coordinate with these signals to maintain the correct position and movement rhythm as required by the scene. Filming scenes with Tik Tok required synchronization between the actor, the control team, and the suit design, because any deviation in movement direction or action timing could interrupt the scene. Number 10. Jack Pumpkinhead was controlled by multiple mechanisms at the same time on set. This character in Return to Oz was not a regular actor in a costume, but a large puppet operated through a complex control system. Jack's structure included many separate parts such as the Pumpkinhead, neck, body, and arms, each part controlled by different mechanisms. The character's head could move and change its viewing angle, while the arms and body were operated to create movements suitable for the situation. To perform a scene, multiple people had to participate in controlling it, with each person responsible for a specific part. The movements did not happen independently, but had to be precisely coordinated in real time, from turning the head, raising the arms, to changing posture. This synchronization required continuous communication between members of the control team, usually through signals or direct instructions from the director. Each action of Jack had to be calculated in advance for rhythm and direction of movement to ensure a consistent image on screen. The filming process with a puppet like Jack Pumpkinhead required many retakes to achieve the necessary precision between the parts. Number 9. The Gnome King was created using claymation technique instead of direct acting. This character in Return to Oz was not portrayed by an actor or costume, but was built entirely with stop-motion animation. The Gnome King's face was made from material that could be molded and changed shape, allowing continuous transformation during conversation. Each small movement on the face, from opening the mouth, changing expressions, to deforming the facial structure, was done by manually adjusting each detail. This process did not happen in real time, but was divided into many separate steps. After each adjustment, a frame was photographed, then the character's position or shape was changed again to create the next movement. When these frames were put together, they formed a continuous movement sequence on screen. To complete a scene with the Gnome King, hundreds to thousands of individual frames had to be performed, depending on the length and complexity of the scene. Synchronization between mouth movement and dialogue was also calculated in advance, with each small change having to match the pre-recorded sound. The entire process required high precision because a deviation in one frame could affect the entire movement sequence when played back. Number 8. The entire film was made without using CGI. At the time of Return to Oz's production, computer graphics technology was not common in the film industry, so all visual effects were created using direct physical methods. The main techniques used included animatronics, puppetry, and stop motion. Animatronics were applied to create mechanical characters with controlled movement, using internal mechanisms to control the movement of parts. Puppetry was used for characters like Jack Pumpkinhead, where multiple people controlled different parts of the body to create synchronized movement. Stop motion was applied to characters like the Gnome King, with each frame photographed individually after each position or shape adjustment. In addition, the film settings were also built with real models, with physical details like walls, floors, and objects created directly on set. Effects like smoke, lighting, and mechanical movement were all carried out on location, not supplemented with digital post-production. Number 7. The design of the Oz world was completely rebuilt with a structure and images different from the previous version. In Return to Oz, the Emerald City no longer appeared as an intact city but was shown in a destroyed state, with many ruined areas and no longer functioning. The architectural structures were cracked, the statues were petrified, and the surrounding space lacked life, creating a setting that no longer had the vibrant quality as before. Many areas in Oz were designed as abandoned spaces, with few signs of human presence or living characters. The overall color tone of the film used darker shades, reducing the bright colors that once appeared in The Wizard of Oz. The lighting in the scenes was adjusted with lower intensity, often using diffused light or spotlighting to highlight specific details instead of illuminating the entire frame. This use of light and color completely changed the way the Oz world was presented, from a fairy tale space to an environment with a different visual structure. Number 6. The film was edited after test screenings before official release. During the completion process of Return to Oz, the film was screened for test audience groups to collect direct feedback on the content and storytelling method. These screenings provided specific data on viewers' reactions to the film's rhythm, scene structure, and the way situations were implemented. Some feedback focused on segments where scene transitions happened quickly, lacking clear explanations, as well as the way events in the story were arranged, not following familiar sequence. In addition, some opinions mentioned the duration of each scene and the level of connection between parts in the film. Based on this feedback, the filmmakers made edits before release. The changes included adjusting the editing rhythm, cutting or shortening some scenes, and rearranging the order of some segments to ensure continuity in the storyline. These edits were carried out in the post-production stage with the goal of perfecting the final version before bringing it to theaters. Number 5. The film's content was built from multiple different books in the Oz series, instead of adapting from a single work. The script of Return to Oz combined elements from 2 books by L.A. Frank Baum, Ozma of Oz, and The Marvelous Land of Oz. The characters and plot points in the film were taken from both sources and rearranged into a seamless story. For example, the characters Princess Mombi and Jack Pumpkinhead originated from The Marvelous Land of Oz, while Tik Tok and Princess Ozma came from Ozma of Oz. The plot did not follow the original of any book, but combined many different storylines, including Dorothy's journey, the appearance of new characters, and separate conflict situations. This combination also affected the story structure, as events did not occur in a sequence similar to any book in the original work. Details from the 2 books were adjusted to fit the runtime and storytelling style of a feature film. Number 4. The film structure did not follow traditional linear progression. In Return to Oz, events were not arranged in a familiar logical development sequence but occurred in a non-linear chain where situations appeared and ended without clear transition processes. Scenes in Oz often began directly with a new setting without long introductions or detailed explanations about how the character moved from one place to another. Some transitions happened quickly, changing space and situations in a short time, making the storyline not built in a continuously escalating form. Characters met, separated, and entered new situations without many intermediate connections between events. This arrangement created a chain of separate segments in which each scene could be understood as a more independent situation rather than part of a continuous flow. In addition, some important details were not explained directly in dialogue or action, but only appeared as part of the setting. Number 3. The sound design used dense metallic and mechanical effects. In Return to Oz, the sound part was not built in a natural direction, but was processed to have a clear mechanical quality, especially in characters like the Wheelers, Tik Tok, and the Gnome King. The sound of the Wheelers was created from rolling, friction, and metal collision sounds, synchronized with the movement of the wheels attached to the arms and legs. Each movement came with hard, sharp sounds with a repeating rhythm, unlike normal footsteps. The Tik Tok character used sound effects simulating mechanical structures, including gear sounds, winding sounds, and internal mechanical movements, directly reflecting the character's operating structure. For the Gnome King, the sound was processed in a heavy and resonant direction, combining metal and stone elements, creating a feeling of a non-organic entity. Many sounds in the film were not recorded directly, but added in post-production, using different sound layers to create clear mechanical effects. The sound effects were tightly synchronized with the visual movements, from small gestures to expression changes, ensuring consistency between sound and action on screen. Number 2. The film did not receive strong promotional support from Disney after release. After Return to Oz hit theaters, the promotional campaign by Walt Disney Productions for this film was not implemented on a scale equivalent to other projects of the time. Promotion was limited in frequency and scope, with fewer expanded marketing activities compared to the studio's traditional family films. Advertising campaigns on television, newspapers, and mass media channels were not maintained continuously for a long time. In addition, the release of tie-in products such as toys, books, or related items was not widely implemented. Compared to other Disney films in the same period, this film's market coverage was significantly lower. Distribution activities were also limited to some areas and were not expanded quickly like other major projects. Number 1. The film became a cult work after release. When Return to Oz hit theaters, the commercial results did not meet expectations, with low revenue and limited audience interest in the initial period. The initial reaction did not create a strong spreading effect, causing the film not to be maintained long in the theater system. After the release period, the film did not disappear completely, but continued to reappear through other release forms such as VHS tapes, DVDs, and television platforms. These re-releases helped the film reach a new group of audiences, including those who had never seen the theatrical version. Over time, the film's content and image construction were reconsidered in a context different from the initial time. Some viewers began to pay attention to elements like character design, story structure, and the use of practical effects. The number of viewers following the film gradually increased through re-releases, forming a separate group of viewers interested in the film. This process took place over many years, with changes in the approach and evaluation from the audience. And those are 20 facts about Return to Oz, a film that did not follow any familiar templates of Walt Disney Productions at that time. From nearly being completely changed in post-production, internal controversies during the production process, to the way characters, settings, and effects were built entirely based on practical methods, all created a project different from films of the same period. Elements like mechanical sound design, claymation technique, puppetry, and animatronics not only played a supporting role, but became the core in how the film was made. The content was built from multiple different books in the Oz series, with a non-linear structure and implementation not following the traditional direction. After release, the film did not achieve commercial success, but continued to appear through many other release forms, thereby reaching more audiences over time. If you find this information useful, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos, and leave your opinion about the film in the comments section below.